But first, Sonia Ricotti is back with advice and tips on de-stressing for success. Motivational speaker and best-selling author Sonia Ricotti is back with us in studio to talk to us about how we can de-stress for success. Oh boy, Sonia, I can't wait. Stress is something that impacts all of our lives.
Right, absolutely.
But yet it's something that a lot of us have a hard time managing.
Well, especially nowadays with everything that's going on with the economic crisis. Every time I come on your show, I'm always talking about this and how it affects people mentally. But right now, with the stress of the economy, people losing their jobs and people are in debt, along with that, with everything else and all the responsibilities that people have, they are under chronic stress.
And this is something that you can talk about because you have a background in health.
Yes, I worked in the health and fitness industry for many, many, many years. I started off as a personal trainer, and then I worked in my way up the ladder and managed many clubs throughout Toronto. So I know a lot about health and fitness and also about helping people get through stressful times in their lives.
Right, and Sonia, a lot of people think, oh, you know, stress, it'll go away, I have nothing to worry about, but really stress impacts our lives on a day-to-day basis that we may not think about.
Well, a lot of times what happens is a lot of people experience stress, and sometimes it's just a mild level of stress. And you know, sometimes a little bit of stress is not bad.
Right.
Okay, sometimes a little bit of stress if you have a deadline, like if you're a student and you have a deadline to get your paper in or you have a deadline at work. A little bit of stress motivates you to get something done. I'm talking about chronic stress. I'm talking about people who are running around all the time and, you know, kids and work, career and cleaning the house and all kinds of responsibilities, plus other stressors that come into your life. Could be relationship, divorce, whatever it is. Chronic stress can truly affect your health, and it's very, very dramatic. The mild things, like if it's a mild amount of stress, you'll experience things like headaches, back pain, you know, neck, tense, you know, pain in your neck. You get a lot of colds as well. I don't know if you realize that. Your immune system, when you're under a chronic amount of stress, or even just a mild amount of stress actually, you get more colds. So if you're finding that you're getting cold after cold after cold, chances are you're under a lot of stress. But what happens is if you're under a chronic stress, which means that you're stressed all the time. And I've been there in the past, I don't know if you have, but most people nowadays with everything that's going on, they're under a lot of stress. And that affects your health. And it can affect, you can get diabetes, depression, ulcers, heart disease, hair loss, panic attacks. I've experienced that once. That's really scary. There's so many different things that it can really affect your health that you really need to make sure that you de-stress yourself.
Right. And you know, it's interesting because I remember last year I suffered for the longest time from really bad headaches. I never got headaches before, had really bad headaches, dizzy, sick to my stomach, went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're stressed. And I said, oh, I can't be stressed. And he said, go and see a massage therapist. Did that, and slowly she worked out the kinks because he said, oh, I'm carrying my stress in my shoulders and in my neck, and there's a lot of tension there, and you have to get rid of it. And sure enough, I did. But for the longest time, I just thought there's something wrong with me.
Right. And that's what happens. Like for instance, when I actually experienced a panic attack. And a panic attack is very similar to having a heart attack. The symptoms are. And I really thought I was having a heart attack. This is many years ago when I was actually working in the fitness industry, managing many clubs, and I just remember thinking, I'm going to die. And it's completely stress related. And so stress, it's really interesting. I'll tell you one thing, especially now with everything that's going on, a lot of people have lost their jobs or are in debt. A lot of times people, one of the things which is really a really great stress release is, a stress reliever is exercise. And having worked in the industry for so many years, I have to tell you, I can't tell you how many people would come into the club to take a look at the health club and then say, I don't know if I'm going to join because I don't know if I'm going to stick with it because I'm really, really busy. Right? And then I'll say, the first thing I would say, and it was always the same answer because it was so baffling to me. It's like, if you're really, really busy, then you really, really need to exercise. That's extremely important because it's a de-stressor, right? It helps you deal with it.
And I know so many people who say what you have just said, which is They work out because it helps them talk through their problems as they're running, as they're walking, and then they feel better afterwards.
And not only that, when you do exercise, like I do a lot of running, when you run, for instance, endorphins start kicking in, and these hormones, they kick in, and all of a sudden you have this runner's high where you feel fantastic. And your serotonin levels in your brain are increased where you feel much better. So exercise is actually one of the things that people should really focus on all the time, whether you're stressed or not. But most people are in a very stressed state a lot of the time, and exercise would definitely help that.
And you also talk about, too, your inner champion hour, and that's
Right.
where stress comes in.
Right.
Sorry, that's where exercise comes in.
Exactly. When I say the inner champion hour, I talk about that in my book, actually. And the inner champion hour is all about taking time to yourself every single day. And that might mean, I call it the inner champion hour. An hour a day would be phenomenal. A lot of people right now listening or watching are saying, I don't have an hour to myself. Well, you have to make the time, because we make time for our children, career, all that stuff.
Husband,
and
yes.
exactly, and then we put ourselves last. You need to put yourself first. I'll tell you right now, if you don't put yourself first now and take the time for exercise, for relaxation, meditation, journaling, that 1 hour every single day to just sit back and take time, even just having a nice tea with a book, taking that time, and you're not dealing with it, that will really reduce your stress, right? And if you're not doing that and not taking the time, eventually your health will be affected. And then you're going to have to take the time later for your illness. So take it now while you're healthy now and really reduce your stress levels. And keep in mind, when you are under a lot of stress, it not only affects you, it affects the people around you.
So true,
Okay?
Sonia,
It's not
so
only
true.
about you. So if you're saying, well, I don't have time because I have a family, I have children, and all those things, well, let me tell you, your family will be a lot happier if you de-stress yourself. I can guarantee you that you're irritable, your tolerance levels are much lower, you're probably not that great to be around. I mean, people who are stressed, they're a little edgy, and the people around you, even at work, I do these talks at work as well in corporations and companies to de-stress the employees. It affects company morale, the employee morale. It affects so many of the people around you, and I talk about energy all the time. So if you're stressed out, you're negative, like you're projecting negative energy, you're not feeling good, which affects the people around you. And instead of bringing everybody up and making them feel great, you're bringing them down. I'm talking about your friends, I'm talking about your coworkers, I'm talking about your family. So this isn't only about you. If you're thinking you're being selfish, taking time for yourself, it's also for the people around you, it's for your health. If you don't take time now, you will have to take time later for illness.
And you don't want that. So some of the things you can do, like you just mentioned, exercise is one.
Right.
Meditation.
Right. Meditation, exercise, and when I say exercise, especially now with the economy, some people might say, I don't have the money for a gym membership. There are lots of gym memberships out there that are not that expensive, and you can redirect your money. It's like $1 a day or $2 a day. Come on, that's one less, coffee per day or something to redirect it. But if you don't want to go to the gym, you don't have to. You could even just go walking around the block, go to the park, go walking in nature, go for a hike. Things like that. Do stuff that you love. Now if you're in the summer, you can do gardening. There's so many things you could do just to be active, and you don't have to do it every day, even just 3 times a week. And I want to mention another thing, because when I worked in the health industry, a lot of people would say that I'm afraid I'm not going to use the membership. And if one week you might use it 4 times, the next week you might use it 3 times, the week after it'll be only once, the week after you'll only do it 0 times, whatever. The bottom line, let's say in a month you use it, instead of 16 times that you had hoped to use it, you only
Right.
used it 8 or 9. 8 or 9 times is better than 0
Zero.
times, right?
You also talk about, too, journaling is great. Reading a book is fantastic.
Right.
Go on a nature hike.
Exactly, and just take time to yourself. Even go and go for a massage. Just take time to yourself to reflect, and journaling is really great if you're going through a tough time as well. What that is basically having a conversation with yourself. That's what it is. And sometimes just having a conversation to yourself, because sometimes things are going on and you don't know who to turn to, just by writing it all out, just putting everything on the page, all of a sudden you're releasing everything. It's so important to de-stress yourself when you're in a very difficult situation or you're in the middle of a problem, because you need to gain clarity so you can find a solution.
And Sonia, it's interesting you say that, because so many times you wake up, you're stressed out. What do? You get the keys, you get into the car, you're too busy thinking about all the stress that's going on in your lives. You're not even paying attention.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you could be in an accident.
Yeah, exactly. That happens to many people. It's happened to me where I get home from wherever I was. I'm like, how did I get here? Right? And it's because your mind is so focused on whatever is going on. But it really is important to clear your mind and get out of that fog if you really want to get out of whatever situation that you're in. And the other thing is, I've been here before where I'm talking about recreating your reality. And no matter how stressful you are, whatever the stressful situation is in your life right now, you need to start focusing on the solutions, focusing on the positive rather than focusing on the negative. Because if you remember, I talked about staring at a closed door. When you are complaining, upset, angry, it's equivalent to staring at a closed door, and you're not going anywhere. It's completely negative. You're focusing on, I can't believe I'm in debt, I don't know how I'm going to pay, I can't believe I lost my job. You're focusing on the negative. That's not going to help you. You need to step away from that closed door, and when you do, you notice all the open doors around you, which are the doors of opportunity, right? And then you can realize that there are other things, other ways of getting out of your situation. It's not so bad, because every situation has a silver lining. You just need to dig deep sometimes to find it. So it is really important to step away from your closed door, whatever the situation is. Start focusing on the positive, focusing on solutions, and focusing and visualizing your beautiful, greatest life that is just around the corner for you.
Well, Sonia, we love it when you stop by, because you always make us feel great, and if we're going through tough times, we know that there's a silver lining there. And again, if you want more information, Sonia's book is called The Law of Attraction, Plain and Simple, Create the Extraordinary Life That You Deserve. It is available in bookstores, and you can also check out her website, leadoutloud.ca, to find out more. Love it when Sonia stops by. You're watching live.